Hello.
Cheers. Welcome in, everybody.
Good to see you. 6 people. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm excited for tonight. We're excited for tonight.
Yeah, we've been already talking about it a little bit.
It's late. I'm so sorry, but this is the only time that we can do it after we get all the kids in bed, man.
If you're on the East Coast and you're joining us, you're heroic or an insomniac.
And I don't think anybody on the East Coast is joining us right now. But yeah, we're grateful for those of you who. And that light's kind of weird. Let me change that real quick.
Do whatever you want to do. Oh yeah, I think
Is that better?
I mean, I'm squinting less.
Okay. Is that? Can you still see us? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's a little dark.
I don't. Our real professional setup here is.
Yeah. We're not YouTubers. We're just YouTubers.
No, we just sit on our porch.
We just sit on our porch, and we're glad you're here. So tonight we are going to chat about the Open Porch Network concept. AKA family dinner. This thing that come October. Yeah, October of this year, right? Was when we started, or November?
I think we started in November. We moved in October. So I don't think we started that very first.
Yeah, so November 2019.
January.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, we've been doing it for a while, and we hear that a bunch of you are excited about starting something like this, or just like hearing about what we have to say. Some of you, and if you do introduce yourself and you are already doing something like an open porch where you're inviting your neighbors, friends, kind of anybody's welcome type of deal, introduce yourself and tell us where you're from.
There's lots of, I know we're not the only people doing this kind of thing, clearly. So we know there's a lot of other people out there already either officially in this network or doing all this kind of same thing. So do you want to start with a prayer?
Sure. Do you want to pray?
Sure.
All right.
Okay. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Jesus, we ask you to be with us this evening as we kind of break open this topic and just even search our own minds and hearts for what it is that you're doing in and through this work of Open Porch and family dinner. And really just we believe very sincerely that this is a work that you are doing in the church as a whole, and we are so grateful to be a part of it. We ask you to be with our discussion tonight and to inspire our hearts and our minds and our words to reach others. In your name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thanks, babe. Cool. And that the mosquitoes stay away.
Yeah, there's that too. It's hot in Houston, Texas still. Quite humid. Got it,
babe? Go down a little bit. I don't know, man. How are
y'all
doing?
Care.
We're good? All right.
We're good. Are you
comfy? Jameson tonight in my hand.
And my forever standby ranch water.
Reposado.
Cheers. Con limón.
Con limón. Mucho limón.
Pero no azúcar.
Sin azúcar.
Muy bien.
All right, so we'll jump right in. We want to introduce a little bit about, kind of where we were when we began thinking about, opening our porch, opening our home weekly. Mm-hmm. And, I think, one of the main sort of inspirations of that was during our time in Arizona when we were kind of living in a community desert a little bit.
It was an actual desert.
We were in actual desert.
Arid landscape.
But everybody, all our friends there, and you friends who were there with us can attest that we were all like having babies at the same time, and it got like super busy, and then we were very spread out.
Very spread out too.
And we kind of lived in a little bit of a desert, and we made dear friends there, and there was a great community, but we were also studying things and seeing the lives of the saints and religious orders and really getting into this idea of what a community could be capable of.
Right. And it was interesting. We lived, we lived and worked in a parish, and Annie worked in a parish that was only about 20 minutes away from our house, but it was 20 minutes the other direction from
Right.
what most people may be in the surrounding areas. So our parish community that we worked at was not actually our closest church community. Which I don't know. There's something to be said for that, to be kind
Totally.
of living in proximity.
Totally. And we wanted
people.
to, and we
Right.
tried to go to our local, like we were supposed to be going,
Right.
but didn't really feel like we had time to invest there because obviously I was working at another parish.
Right. Yeah.
There were a number of reasons, but all that to say, when we felt called to come back to Houston, we felt called to come back into a community and pour into that community, and and love those right around us, and so that was like a huge impetus, I think, in starting this. And there were Simple Way, in Philadelphia, Shane Claiborne, his community, and then
we read some Shane Claiborne. We read lots of books.
You're right.
At the time.
New monasticism, and there were kind of these modern, I would say, like recovering evangelical, tending more ritual, kind of monastic spiritual writers that we were listening to, Tony Campolo, and even some youth leaders.
Even Rich Mullins. I mean, they were so inspired by a lot of different people. Right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's we and then of course the lives of the saints were always showing us, so Francis and Teresa of Calcutta, and these very communal saints.
Right. This whole concept of find your own Calcutta, where can we pour in?
Right. And that like within our 10-foot radius, like our closest, missions are within our, our home, our family, actually, like our community, our children, and then the idea that like those that we come into contact with on a daily basis. And so we felt like a dinner, a place. There had been people before us too. Like I remember the Roblettos always had a spaghetti.
I think it was a Wednesday spaghetti supper. Right.
Right.
Pretty much everybody was invited.
Yeah, everyone was invited all the time. Right. There were family rosaries, and then of course, like growing up in a pretty tight knit community at my parish at St. Thomas More, we would vacation together, and there was definitely a community of people that. Yeah. So
my parents were also always very.
You lived in a
but a very good example of opening their home to different communities. And, when we were foreign missionaries in Guatemala, Thanksgiving, they would say, hey, all white people come over because like nobody celebrates, that kind of thing, So,
Canadian Thanksgiving or?
Okay. So it was American
Thanksgiving. I'm just checking.
U.S. today.
Yeah. That time.
Yeah. That time.
Colonialism.
Go
colonialism.
No.
We, so like most people, we were raised in community and different things like that. And the theology of the body, and John Paul II's theology of the family, this family of God, and the laity being integral parts of that. I think there were a lot of things that were, a domestic church. We wanted to build a domestic church that was outreaching and outturn doors. And so
we wanted our home to be a place of. Yeah.
So it started out on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, that was in some ways natural because we also hosted a worship night downtown for the city of Houston. That was way back in the day, but and that was also on Wednesday nights. So we thought, okay, we'd just keep it the same and be a night of ministry, quote unquote. We'd have an adoration night outside of our home, and then the other 3 Wednesdays of the month our home would be open to, kind of the same kind of community, our neighbors, and then also these people who would have.
So it was kind of this neat combination. I would preach once a month to this community, and then say, welcome in all the other Wednesdays.
Come on over,
and what it became, I think there was some other influences I was reading, and one of the reasons why we moved to Del Rey was because there was a family, the Scroggins, and some of you might know Jerry and Carol Scroggins and their children. They lived next door to the house that we were moving into on a cul-de-sac. And so they were people that not only we wanted to share the gospel with, but people we wanted to sit at their feet.
Right. Be like them.
And we wanted to be like them.
In so many ways. In the way that they already lived the gospel, and in the way that they loved their family.
Yeah.
Right.
So that, so the specific location, the geography was like, it had tiers of discipleship and kind of built in. And so it started on Wednesdays, and I think Jerry passed on an article. We were talking about this concept of a place for people to come, and somebody smart, and I say Jerry Scroggins because he's smart.
Yeah, and it was probably, he was very much always a mentor.
Yeah, so, and he passed on this article, or somebody passed on this article about the pre-World War II United States was built in a way where you lived there, but you also did your commerce there and your business there, and so it's where you got your hair cut. Wasn't very far from where you lived
in urban America specifically, but really in rural America too. All of it was you were
kind of right there. Yeah, there was people who lived out, in rural areas, but neighborhoods were designed with commerce in mind as well, so that there were places where people would make contact on a daily basis with their neighbor because they had to do commerce, the market, the bank. But then there were places called third places that were they weren't your work, they weren't where you were doing business, and they weren't where it wasn't where you were sleeping. It wasn't your home, so it was a third place.
Right.
And these were the parks and the pubs and the common houses and places like this that
the people get churches as well. It
would be a third place. Yes. Right. So somewhere where, I don't know if I don't know. In this article, it described it in this way. It was a place where you could come and go as you please, as long as you weren't an asshole or a jerk. As long as you weren't like an asshole there. And
so
then
you behaved yourself.
Yeah, you behaved yourself. Yeah, you were social. You were socially normal, and that you could. Come as early as you want and stay as long as you need. There wasn't there wasn't a program. There wasn't an event.
That's right.
And so church wasn't necessarily a third place in this definition because there was a start and a finish to it.
And there was also already something that singled you out as that member of that faith. Whereas in these third places, you could be from any background or whatever.
Right. You could kind of be
anybody in society.
Anybody could come in. Right. And so, so that was kind of the next progression of that, and reaching out to our neighbors, understanding that this was going to be a hodgepodge of people. They're going to want to stay for 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe they come at 10 p.m.
Right.
And they stay till 1.
Right.
We were going to be willing to host them.
People, it has happened.
And we did. Well, yeah, and that concept really, there were moments where it was different crowds. There were the young families would come in the beginning, and then young adults would come at the end. And now it's a good mix through the night because I think we're older parents, and
I know it has always evolved over the years. I mean, we do this now 11 years, and like you're saying, it often started out with young families because we were a really young family, at the time, and. And then of course older, like you're saying, older single people who still thought we were cool would come hang out with us. And now, I mean, it's just, you're right. It's a good mix. It's everybody. Right. Do we want to check in and get any questions, or are we still going?
No, this is great. I think this is good stuff. There's 12 of you here, but I'm wondering if you're not able to type. Yeah. So you have to sign in. I think you are signed in. Unable to connect to chat. Please try again later.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's our fault. Probably it is.
It's running, so maybe can I just reset it? No, that won't work. Anyway, whatever.
I love technology.
This is not going to be good if I can't. We're chatting. All right, great.
Awesome.
Okay, so It's good to know, David Light. How do I reconnect the chat?
We can't see the chat. That sucks.
Here, let's do this. That's really funny. Okay, hold on. Let's do this.
Sorry, friends.
This is so funny.
Difficulty.
Try again later. Well, let's do this.
Oh, no. Y'all just chat amongst yourselves.
Okay. How funny. All right. If anybody knows how to do this, you can text me.
It wouldn't let me chat. So
Okay.
I refreshed the page and now it works.
Okay, but if I
All right.
refresh the page, then everybody's going to go away. So this doesn't work.
That's all right. They can just chat amongst themselves. We'll
Okay.
catch up later.
So if you
text us if you've got your phone number. Although we do have some questions that people send us ahead of time. So
yeah, let's do
what
that.
do you want to do?
If David Light, if there are questions, you just text them to me, okay? Because you're already talking to me. All right, let's do it this way. And then I've got questions here from some people.
Sources,
yeah, some people who have asked some questions earlier. So we'll get right to it. David Light, joining via YouTube. All right. Okay, cool, man.
Yeah. Okay.
You have YouTube on your phone, right? Do that. Yeah.
I don't know.
So here's the first. Yeah, you go.
You just keep talking.
All right, let's do this. So I've got a. Thank you, Emily. I've got a question here from some good friends of ours, Matt and Kim Hamrick. They're saying. They wrote me today on the Patreon and said, I find that gratitude for what we have, many applications there, is the foundation that leads the way to opening our lives and home to neighbors.
Right.
No, we don't need it.
You don't need YouTube.
No,
okay.
No.
You don't have to download it anyway.
Otherwise, we can fall into living like everyone else, leaning to a more closed door, protecting my time and space approach. So, did you catch that?
Yeah.
Is gratitude the thing that sets the tone?
Right. They're saying in their home, it's gratitude that really drives what they do in opening their home.
Yeah.
And is that the case for us? And if not exactly that, then what does drive what we do? And right?
Yeah.
And I would say, I mean, in a lot of ways, yes. I think in the sense that, I mean, I really feel like we felt called to do it. We knew we were supposed to do it. I'm not sure gratitude was the first thought I had, but in the fears that I have, am I enough? Is my food enough? Is my home enough? And, can we really do this? In the fears that I have, I think gratitude is what kind of counteracts that. Because when I'm grateful for the gifts he's given me in all these areas, then I'm willing to share them, and I want to share them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can definitely see that. That is a
kind of a recognition of gratitude.
I don't think I've ever
turns
consciously
what we have into enough, and so what we have is, and we want to share what we have.
Say that again.
Gratitude turns what we have into enough.
Gratitude turns what we have into enough.
Right. Because God, I mean, as we've been given it anyway,
right.
And then there's enough. There's enough to share.
Right.
We don't have to worry about this scarcity of not being enough or not having enough or not being our house not being big enough or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So yes, in some ways, I think because of it, it drives away the fear for me. The gratitude does of not being enough.
Totally. I mean, it makes sense because that is when we have the notion that everything is gift.
Right.
You're a gift.
Right.
I'm a gift.
Right. These people coming into our home are
gifts.
This
food is a gift.
Right.
That is a yes, of course you're gonna live open and not closed like this is mine, and like I got it, when we're able to see
it was given to you anyway. So it's so much easier to share.
Yeah, because it's not not mine. Like it's not, I have no, God gives me rights to, and I pray for daily bread. And as long as there's more bread to share, I feel like, the gratitude piece comes in. It's just like, there's enough bread. Like, let's go. We can share. Yeah, we can share this. So that's a great point.
Yeah. I mean, it's not always material things. There's, grace and all of those things in there too. Lots of things that he gives us.
Keep saying that. You don't have to. We don't have to end there.
Okay. I mean, I just mean sometimes it's not sometimes my fear in this is not necessarily do I have enough food or is my food good enough, but can I be patient enough in this, scenario, or can I, whatever. I mean, it calls a lot out of you to.
Right.
Yeah, to open up to people. Make sense?
To be vulnerable.
Right. Which is a big piece of the whole idea, that when we're inviting people to our home, we naturally have to have some vulnerability.
Right. Okay, so we get a text from David. Do you incorporate prayer or praise and worship or anything else into the evening, or do you leave it open?
Uh-huh.
We've left it open so far, just bless the food, but find ourselves wondering if we should add something to the evening.
I think some, and we don't. So we do. I mean, it has happened organically from time to time that we've added some praise and worship in, or if we've had a musician friend who's here with his guitar. Sometimes, you know what I mean. Sometimes that
Lisa
has come and played the piano. Yeah. Lisa been around. So, but it's generally not something we plan real hard, and we definitely don't. That is not like a for sure part of our evening
requirement.
It's not something
we definitely gather to pray as
to bless the food,
like you're saying, and that's a good. If there's any program in the night, that's a good time to do that. So if it's someone's birthday, we'll like pray for them, or some people are leaving for college, or just random things, just got engaged or whatever. We'll kind of do some.
Or someone's moving away. We won't see them. I mean, there's lots of ways.
Intercessory, or anything like that. So or we'll just celebrate them or toast them or whatever the case may be. And then we have the bless us, O Lord.
Thanks, blessed is she. The bless us, O Lord prayer is written kind of in a big, beautiful calligraphy, and we've hung that on our wall in the space where we gather to pray, and so that's worked well.
So it's great.
Like if there's people who aren't maybe Catholic or don't know that prayer, you can go.
Well, there's not a Spanish. There's not a Spanish prayer.
No,
there's not a Spanish. Like I always thought that was a universal prayer,
right?
But it's really
there's not a standard prayer before meals in Spanish.
That's an English. That's an English prayer. Yeah. So our Protestant friends or Muslim friends or whoever neighbors who are coming over, can just read it off the wall if they don't know it.
Provided they can read cursive.
Yeah, if they're old enough to read cursive. But no, I think we've intentionally stayed away from adding too much to the night, and it kind of goes back to the idea of come when you can, leave when you can, leave when you need to, and if we're heading to bed and we're cleaning up and people are still around, we visit with them till their Uber comes, and we hang out with them till they want to go, till they need to go, and sometimes the best programs, moments with people
have been
are
completely unplanned things.
The unplanned things. And so if you're sticking to a program, it kind of just like forces
then there feels like there's an ending time. And there feels like, okay, now the most important part of the evening is over or whatever, and this way it helps keep the people in front of your face feeling like the most important person.
And I would say that if you do have an objective in the night, it is to connect to every person there at a certain point. That is sort of your responsibility as the host to if there was a program to have some sort of sit down conversation, for a moment with every one of your guests. Now I'm not saying every child, every puppy. Oof, oof.
Rega's come over and you're like, okay, every single one of you. No, but yes, for sure. I mean, and or we kind of split those duties, you and I. Making sure that everybody feels welcome and whatnot. But I would say though, if the group of people that you've invited into your home, it really would benefit from that. Like it really is all people from, your, this parish small group that you were a part of that has now kind of grown into this thing that you meet weekly. It's not the end of the world, obviously, to add that kind of programming in. You can be, if that's what you're called to. But in our case,
totally.
And we do, in our case, we've definitely chosen to leave that kind of programming aside.
Yeah.
So
and that is definitely, and when we talk about the open porch, we're definitely, you have to be you.
Yeah.
And if I've spoken before, with somebody who's like, I just am really into apologetics.
Right.
Like I'm really into, theology. I'm really into, great books and philosophy, and like, I'm like, so you would do that on a normal basis, going out to a pub, you would talk about those things. Yes. Well, then do that
in your home.
Do that in your home.
Right.
And
it might be people who would enjoy that.
It might be a smaller group of your neighbors, and I think then you sort of adjust. You realize, oh, if I whip out, Aquinas at this moment while I'm just visiting with somebody who has no frame of reference and their whole, perspective has been a different upbringing and, all those things, you realize that it's difficult to really love your neighbors.
Right.
If you're only doing your thing or the hobby that you love best, and we found that with we love food and drink, and some people aren't into food and drink.
Not that they don't like to eat or drink,
right?
To do that to
survive, so if we did more, but if we did like more fancy things, when people would feel intimidated to bring the Doritos, and so you have to find that balance of how do your guests, how do your neighbors
and
feel
how can you
welcome?
How can you
best welcome them? So if a program, is gonna sort of
be a soft landing for people.
Help people,
or conversely, if it's if it's gonna impede that, then maybe don't.
Be real. Be vulnerable. Be you. Be authentic. I think that's the key. That's the key more than not having, whether you have a program or not have a program. Just be you. Don't put on a show.
Good idea. Good. Be authentic.
Let's see.
Back to those other.
Let's see. Patrick. No. Patrick. This is great. Patrick. For those that may be listening who live in an untraditional living arrangement, an apartment complex, do you have advice for starting an open porch? Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Go. So like in apartments maybe, or you're, in a roommate situation with, 3 other people in your houses, maybe, I don't know, it's like guys and it smells like dogs or something, that's non-traditional, right? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of it, outside of
Patrick, she's totally judging you.
I am not judging. I don't know where Patrick lives. He lives by himself. I don't.
Patrick is a very clean person.
I imagine he is. I don't. Sorry, friends.
He is. He's always very stylish. Don't you notice?
Yes, he is.
He is. He's always got a matching brim.
It's good stuff.
He's a good guy.
Okay. No, my point is there are all kinds of living situations. Maybe you live at home with your parents still, or whatever, but you still feel called in some way to do, be doing this kind of outreach. There's lots of ways. We know people who do it at the park, at a local park in the neighborhood. Some friends who they lived in like a college dorm, right? And they kind of a common area.
An apartment complex. Yeah, totally. And and obviously, I mean, it's something that's natural, right? So if somebody, it happens organically. But if somebody comes over one time and it's packed in there, somebody's going to come up with an idea.
Right. Hey, we like this. This is good. Let's move this to
here, I have a house, or I have a backyard, or we should go to a common area next week, or whatever the case may be. I don't think that it has to be at your place for you to be a host.
For you to be a co-conspirator in the whole thing.
Right. For you to be a host, I don't think you need to do that.
Yes, that's true. I mean, I would say even we've had from time over the years, and Emily Blaisdell would be definitely one of these people who have helped us host, even in our own home. So Emily Blaisdell definitely hosts a family dinner. Yeah,
totally. This is great. We've done, so Trevor, I love that you're on here, Trevor. We've done several on feast, but not regular yet. We have lots of littles, which means a regular thing tough right now. Totally understand that, man. David, the lights are in a similar spot as well. And it really does have to be. It does
take a toll on the family.
Totally.
It can be.
And we had 4, when we began, we had 4, and they were.
And I was homeschooling.
Well, how old was our oldest?
Our oldest was 7.
7. So we had 7. Yeah.
4 under 7. Right.
4 under, 7 and under.
5.
Whatever it was.
3 and a baby.
Yeah. And things were crazy. And I think what we just decided was that it's very difficult to add chaos to 100% chaos.
That's
and
true.
So in the early years, I mean, it really was.
When I was able to go put some little ones to bed. I mean, it's honestly harder now that we have so many teenagers and little ones. I mean, these little ones do not go to bed nearly as early as my, bigger ones did when they were little, because I was able to step away, put the kids to bed, and still, let any kind of host, things like that made it a little bit easier from time to time,
right,
when they were little. But
and I think that there was
it was a moment of decision for us. Like, this is going to take a toll on our family, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I think what happened is we said we were going to do it weekly,
Right.
and so we just had to do it weekly.
Yeah.
Like, we knew it had to be consistent. There was something to the rhythm. If you missed, 1 month,
Right.
then if you in 2
months.
months, there was something about the regular rhythm of the neighbors, the people in our neighborhood,
The weekly thing just made it
right.
Yeah.
That made it. It had to be, and of course, that was our mission.
Right.
And I had, we were. That was our full-time gig, for those Wednesdays. Yeah,
right. I mean,
that was what we did.
That was what we did for
so
that day.
we are so excited about the family who, makes time as soon as they get home from work to prepare the thing and go after it. I think Ryan O'Hara, who I don't know if he's on here or not, but Ryan would say
on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, you can find Ryan O'Hara on Instagram and Twitter. He would say, one of the principles he uses in praying is pray as you can.
Right.
So it's not necessarily like, well, when I'm a better prayer, then I'll pray more.
Right.
It's just
or when
pray,
I have more time.
Or when I have more time.
Right.
So prayer, is a pray, you pray as you can, not as you should,
as you're able.
But as you're able. And I think that when loving your neighbors and doing an open porch, open your porch as you can.
Right.
Do it as you can. So if it's feast days, or if it's when you can, monthly, or whatever it might be, I think that's
if you have to set stricter start and end times, sometimes that's true for people. Like, no, we really do have little ones, and they really do have soccer games the next morning, and we cannot go to 2 a.m. That would kill us. You have to say, no, there's a strict end time of 9:30 or whatever it might be for you. Those kinds of boundaries are okay. Which actually begs another question about boundaries.
Boundaries. Yeah, that was that was one of the questions that Renee asked.
Right.
Who hosts dinners in Canada. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Canada,
because Canada. Somewhere in Canada.
How do you facilitate boundaries? What I mean is, when a guest is monopolizing the time of another guest or dominating a group conversation, do you intervene? Is there any tactics you've found helpful?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, oh gosh, there can be awkward situations like that where you feel like, oh man, this, whatever, just, a certain person who, really loves a specific topic. And then you happen to know this other person they're in conversation with probably could care less about that topic.
Right.
And them both, they don't know each other. And so there can be awkward. But in some ways, it's really fun to let those things play out pretty organically.
Yeah, well, I think one of the this is going to sound judgy. And this is about as judgy as I get. Okay, it's going to sound a little judgy. One of the missions that I think that I have or feel in my heart for the church is teaching the church how to be human or more normal, right? In and around people who are outside of of the church culture, right? Mm-hmm. And I think what dinner does and what Open Porch does is create a scenario where churchy people have to encounter non-churchy people in the neighbors and in the people who are just gathering, who are welcome to the Open Porch. And then that stuff happens organically, where it's like, man, that was kind of a jerky thing to say, or you really scared off everybody when everybody started getting up when you were going into your rant again.
Right.
There's like this natural cue of, oh, what do you mean? I can't just shout like I do on Twitter, or I can't just spout off like church militant, or you have to actually engage the human being
that is in front of you
to share Christ. Mm-hmm. You have to engage that way. And so I think that boundary, now I would say, and it's happened before.
Oh, there have been plenty of times during family dinner where one or the other of us will come to each other. Hey, can you go just check on that conversation? Yeah. And then you just organically intervene and, hey, let me blah, blah.
Or at a private moment, it's happened where I've had to say to, a guest, a neighbor, hey, man, so last week, this happened,
Right.
and I just want to let you know, don't do that again.
Right.
Like, that made people feel awkward, and let's just
Right.
not do that again.
Right.
And it was tough.
Right.
I think it's happened twice,
Okay.
and it's been tough.
Yeah.
Those are hard conversations to have, but yeah, that's how normal people
Right.
take care of their things, you know?
Right.
And so, yeah, so I would say it does demand a little bit of, you know, boundaries, but you're kind of protecting the thing. Now, you know, as the years have gone by, there might have been things we don't even know about.
Sure.
You know, I mean, there's the possibility there. And I think that,
Right.
but for the most part, we've
Yeah.
kept a pulse on every location, you know,
Right.
boundaries.
Well, yeah. What, Lucia?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just last week. It's funny because the question of the word boundary came up just last week. Lucia, we're getting ready for family dinner, and we spend a couple hours on Friday afternoon.
8.
Lucia's 8, getting the house ready for guests, and as we were doing so, she recalled the weekend before, when her room that had been just so beautifully clean, put together, was just utterly trashed at family dinner. There are a lot of young children who just really don't respect boundaries, always have boundaries. They went in and smashed her Lego set to pieces and all these things. And, it took us the whole next day really to get it put back together again. And, so we're getting ready.
That is
And
pretty
that's typical.
standard.
Right. That's
and
standard
typical for
right.
the whole house.
Right. Yes. Although, yes.
Not as smashed.
Right. And we used to, so her particular bedroom doesn't actually have a lock on it, and it does contain most of the toys. So at this point, we've been letting people go in that bedroom. All of the other bedrooms are off limits. That's kind of the way we've always handled things. But anyway, she asked last week as we're getting ready, Mom, is there any way we could just put a boundary on the stairs and say no going upstairs? Because she really wanted to protect her nice clean room and her, her space, and, didn't want her toys destroyed, and which rightly so, she's allowed. So yes, we have tried to encourage boundaries around, our home,
right.
and keep our, in attempts to keep our children safe and even just
sane.
Sane,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
and sane.
And wanting to invite people into their home, because
Right.
if we just let people come go crazy all the time and with zero respect for boundaries at all.
Yeah, I mean, it brings up a good question just about kids, because people ask us that a lot. I don't know if that's a question that anybody else on here has. I think that Cameron and Matt, that was one of their first questions, or maybe a couple of, just about, like, we have these people that come over and just have no respect. They don't throw away their trash. They don't pick up after their kids. Their kids don't pick up, this whole thing. No offense if you've been to Cameron and Matt's. It's probably not you. It's the other people.
That's it.
Yeah, so it's a question that comes up often about, like, kids' rooms and things like that. And I think just a quick answer is we try to keep them off limits. All kids' bedrooms off limits.
And we do keep some toys out. And we do also, we try to encourage, especially when it's a really, when there are a lot of children present. It just really depends for us. It varies. Yeah. Sometimes there's lots of small children. Other times there's lots of teenagers. And other times it's just mostly adults. So it just varies.
Lately it's been
a big mix, but
lately it's been a big mix, but lately I would say
angsts of teenagers.
Yeah, the teenagers have, like, increased.
They're
there's more and more.
But we do, especially when there's young children involved, but even when teenagers are involved, we do kind of designate. We look around at a certain point when it's kind of the most, most people are there still before everybody's gone, trying to leave, and just say, hey, can we just kind of, everybody pitch in and clean up here or there? Maybe it's the toys. We'll ask the young kids, can you guys help, pitch in and pick up the toys? And then, hey, teenagers, can you go around and just collect all the trash real quick and throw it away?
Right.
And we have no problem saying that to other people's children.
Right.
Anyway,
yeah,
we used
to
a little bit.
Nah, you have
but
to
you
be,
learn
and don't be
nice about it. But
be nice. Everybody, every parent understands that.
Right.
Every kid understands that. They'll pretend like they don't understand that, but every kid understands.
From time to time, there's a child who lays on the floor and picks their legs.
Yeah, and that's fine. And sometimes it's ours. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, so kind of there is a moment where it's like, okay, let's pick up. Let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, that happens. So this question just came in on the Tiffany. We love y'all too. Girl. Neighbors. Speaking of neighbors and this back porch, You guys own these bricks. This is
True.
the Hogue house.
Mm-hmm. Okay, how do you think gender might play into giving feedback about boundaries or interesting interpersonal interactions?
Yeah.
My women's small group is so polite, and giving feedback seems hard most times. Oh, so are you saying in general?
Giving feedback seems hard most times. Yeah, like I would say, yeah. So gender rules, just a little bit.
Right.
Like I would say
Tiffany,
that I
just asked that question. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's not Tiffany that asked that question. That was Felicia.
Right. Good question.
Yeah, good question. So,
like, are you saying maybe in general, it's hard for women to give feedback to each other because they end up sticking out with what's polite as opposed to kind of speaking the hard truths?
Yes.
I think that is in general true. I mean, from what I know about women, we have a hard time being seen in a poor light and wanting to just kind of
be more polite.
Not
you never struggled.
Nah, shut up. Of course I do.
No, of course. But what are the exceptions? Your community, your friends.
That's true. Right.
So like those families that come here.
I generally have a level of trust and understanding with people. You know, even when they're strangers. I guess there's something about like the vulnerability aspect. You know, you kind of are called to come outside of yourself a little bit and be willing to. Yeah. But I hear that pretty clearly.
And I think it's understood that you are, you know, with this outreach, you are weakening your boundaries. You're dropping your wall. Right. You're dropping your facade. You're dropping your make sure that what you're talking about when you talk about boundaries is safety.
Right.
That no one's being a jerk, you know, that no one's feeling excluded. These are the boundaries that are most important. The mess. I mean, you know,
the boundary of your mask. That's a boundary we want to get rid of.
The carpet.
What do you mean the carpet?
Like, I mean, I'm just saying,
right.
like, you know, like
lines on the carpet from the vacuuming.
No. Oh yeah, no, not that. I'm saying we had to replace all of our floors with you know, bamboo or pergo because, you know, we had to make that investment because week after week our carpet was being destroyed. Right. Same with the backyard. Right. You know, so it's, you know, so make sure your boundary, I would say, and this is a challenge for everybody. Right.
Be willing to move your boundaries if they're too strict.
Right. If it's about stuff.
If it's about stuff. Right. Or if it's you know, if it's in the name of, you know, pride or ego or whatever else, you know, or even, you know, lots of things. But
or that person is not not, you know, that I can't stand that person, you know, they're not welcome here or things like that. I think that's where we have to drop those boundaries, you know. If it's a safety concern, I mean, obviously
100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, there have been times, I think I said this before, I don't know exactly to who, but there have been times where people have entered my home, you know, for whatever reason, I don't have a great vibe about them. I'll follow around my house, you know, I mean, not just, you know, like lovingly and kindly, but I, you know, not really let them out of my sight just because for one reason or another, I don't necessarily feel comfortable doing so, you know?
Right.
And how
often has that happened?
Oh, it's happened like twice.
Once? I remember one.
Maybe one. Regardless.
Infamy. The one time. And I think, and that's obvious. Oftentimes, that's probably the biggest question that people have for us is the safety concern.
And aren't you worried about your children?
Yeah, worried about your children and that kind of thing. And like, of course, we're concerned and we care about our kids and we protect our kids and all those things. But we would rather pass on this idea
of
welcome to neighbors to our children. We think it's more dangerous to pass on this notion to not be open to your neighbors, to our children, than it is to risk one neighbor being really, really, really messed up. Now that might change. I might change one day. Who knows? Like that, you know, I've not been there, but so far, 11 years. I mean, and it really, I mean, I think one of the things that we've said in the past, and I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but it's very difficult when somebody comes. What are you gonna come in and disrespect me in my own home? I'm welcoming you into my home.
Right.
You're gonna come into my home. I'm gonna welcome you into my home. You're gonna steal stuff from my home. Right. You know, like it takes a certain kind of like evil person to do that. Even the hardened hearts of people sometimes, when you welcome them, they soften and they're not as rigid, you know.
It does
So
seem to be true.
yeah. So David responded, we send an evite because it's monthly and the week varies. We keep it open and people forward to friends, but the attendee count is near the limit of what we can hold. Is it ever too big?
Yeah.
Does it ever get too big? Yes, it does.
That's a good question.
It does get too big. And, you know, it's rare. There's probably, you know, once or twice a year,
Right.
I feel like it gets too big.
Right. Oh yeah.
It hits everybody's home from college and families
Right.
have swelled and
right.
Somebody special's in town.
Yeah, it's Christmas time
birthday.
so often, or yeah. Right.
And yeah, we have to suck it up at that point. Budget,
Right.
you know, the budget increases,
Right.
amount of time cleaning up and those
Right.
types of things.
Right.
But I would say that if it
We've
ever
never
was,
had a noise violation.
we never had a noise violation.
Not
We haven't had amplified music.
No, I know. But
I mean,
I'm just
other
trying to
than
think
a
of what.
Bluetooth or something.
Yeah.
But I would say if it's consistently too big,
Right. Then you might consider, I mean, this is what we've said to other people, and this has actually kind of happened, you know,
Yeah.
even in our community as it's evolved over the years. But, you know, we encourage other people who might all live closer to one another than maybe to us or whatever to kind of start their own.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
As much as you would hate not seeing those same people every week, it's, you know, it's worth it to continue the idea of community, to go ahead and, you know, split.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. David is you know, you'll know again, like you'll know if it's just week after week, it's just too big. There's no
Right.
place for people to sit.
right.
You know, not
can't-
enough chairs.
Right.
There, you can't feed everybody. You can't
It's-
squeeze people through the kitchen. You know,
Right.
things like that. I think, you know, obviously you'll know, and then it's a time to encourage others to take up the mantle and, you know, and do something. But yeah, we're just like really excited to be a part of this wave, we feel like, in the church. It's a.
I just wanted to make sure we
you're
caught all
looking
that.
at that. Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know, we're no, I want you to come with me. What do you?
I just wanted to make. I didn't finish reading all those. Apparently,
You didn't?
I'm done now. I'm done now.
Okay.
now.
All right. Sorry. We are really excited. Yeah, that's the same picture.
I know that.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Just leave it. Why don't you just
I want you.
cheers, friends? I'm here.
I want you to be here. I don't want you to be
I am
on your
here.
phone.
I'm not on my phone.
Okay.
Get off your phone.
Wouldn't that be weird? That's all I'm saying.
Okay, you were saying, darling.
Okay.
Continue.
Are you guys still listening to me?
Probably not.
Are y'all on your phones too?
Yeah. We're excited to be a part of this wave in the church. That's what you were saying.
Yeah, it's a wave. It's a movement of God. We know it because others are in it with us, and yeah, we're really glad to know you, and we're glad to know that you're interested in this. And if you're watching, we want to be in more contact with you. It's why we started Del Rey Collective.
We
why
love having these conversations.
It's why we call it a collective. It's why
We
know,
wanna
it's
learn
not just
from
called
each other.
us. You know,
Right.
this is
us.
yeah, Ennie and Cana, the thing. You know, we really think that what God's doing is really raising up a generation of lay families that are willing to take some risks in their own neighborhood, in their own 10-foot radius, with the people that they interact with daily, and live differently. And we believe that the church grows in backyards,
In places of beauty, in places of community, in places of
beauty.
attraction.
And not that it doesn't grow at the church property, not in the least. We need both, and
We need places of beauty there too, and places of welcome also.
We need both, and we need the sacraments, and we need the liturgy done well, and we need reverence, and we need piety, we need catechesis of small children and adults, and RCIA, and we just believe that when a parish is, the geography of a parish is alive and active in the neighborhoods surrounding that parish, that it only enhances and and grows. And so we're we just want to be here to encourage you in that. And if it's if we can be in more contact, there's probably something there.
Okay, so now I'm allowed to look at my phone.
Yeah, now you're allowed.
Thank you.
Yeah, if there's something more we can do for you, that's what we're about. That's why we exist. You're so cute.
Trevor, I don't know if you covered this already, but starting out, how do you budget for these weekly gatherings? Do you do open hat as well as bring something? Yeah, that's a good question. So we never have really done an open hat thing. We've never had people pitch in
if we were doing
well, I think maybe from time to time, if we were going to like give a gift to somebody,
we were like raising money for things. Like we've done that.
And
like
one time
pay
we did,
tonight.
well, yeah, one time we
bought a cow.
Oh yeah, we bought a cow at Christmas time. Right.
But yeah, no. So budget wise for our family, we cook. We cook around the same amount that we would normally do as a family, plus
double.
Yeah.
So we double.
We double.
Plus another family our size.
Yeah,
so yeah, we pretty much that's what I cook. And I often have leftovers in my own family. So it works out to be maybe three times as much as we would eat.
Right. And we eat at our house. We eat dinner at our house every night except for Sunday.
Right.
Where we eat out. And so it fits in our budget.
It does fit in our budget. I mean, granted, yes, it is. I do spend more on Friday night meals than I do on the other meals throughout the week. But
it's ice,
right?
Tortilla chips, salsa. It's these extra kind of like hospitality things. Paper towels.
I mean, we do paper towels and paper plates. Like, I mean, we keep it really simple. I try to stay away from styrofoam because I really do love
plastic.
our earth.
Yeah. Stay away from plastic.
And we even like, don't tell anybody, but sometimes we recycle the plastic cups. Like I wash them.
Why are you whispering? They can hear
I'm
you.
just kidding. Of course, I know, but no. So we do our best to reuse and be earth friendly, but we do use disposable dinnerware because that would be crazy to wash all those dishes.
Oh yes, that would be absolutely insane.
I mean,
but yeah,
crazy.
So as far as budget goes,
so we do those things are the budget items. Yeah,
that is part of our tithing.
We consider it a part of the way we've chosen to live.
Right.
And yes, I mean, obviously, if you're going to add this to your budget, it is an addition. But we don't find that it's a gigantic addition.
No, not at all. It's it's very small. It's very small in comparison to, like, if we were feeding everybody.
Right, because we do have people bring something. They have everybody, should, and of course they don't always because things happen, but bring something to share.
But I tell you what.
Tell me what.
When the food runs out they show up and are hungry,
they learn
to bring something next time. I mean, sometimes they just show up literally with their meal.
Right.
I mean, that's happened, too. And that's totally fine.
Right.
That's totally fine.
Legitimate, right?
And or their two tall boys.
Right. Whatever.
Blaze did that last week.
I love Blaze.
Yeah, we love Blaze. Blaze is the best, man. He rolled up with his two tall boys, and that was like that's what he came to do.
Yeah.
I almost grabbed one. You're a jerk. But then tall boys. But then tall boys. Oh yeah, Tiffany. So grateful to be your neighbor during this time. Hope to continue the spirit. And Emily cut it off. But yes, you are continuing the spirit.
Yeah.
Of Del Rey.
No, we know. Yeah, we know you guys are. Your porch has been open as long as I've ever known you.
That's right, man. I mean, some of our best conversations, right there on the back porch. So good. Yeah. So, any other questions? We have about 5 more minutes. David, if you could text me a screenshot or something, if there's anything else, or Emily. You guys have been really good. Thanks for
Yeah.
being patient on this
Thanks.
stupid.
We no live chat from the YouTubers tonight.
So dumb. It's so classic us.
And we don't know what we're doing.
We have no idea what we're doing. This is just
But
the
we like
best.
hanging out with y'all.
Whoever you are.
Whoever you are.
Trevor. Okay, Felicia, Ennie saw a tweet about the Open Porch Network. Thank you. Very timely. Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Community can also happen in holy moments that happen organically. This can enhance community and open porch concept. Totally
agree.
Yeah, organic is so good. Cow equals awesome. Yeah, it was. Yeah, we bought a cow. No big deal.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we didn't.
Right now, we are eating tons of venison.
We are.
We're in the venison, hog, dove season. Speaking of, if you're ever in Houston and you want to come hunting with us during the fall, shameless plug, I'll take you. I love taking people hunting.
Los
yeah,
Brazos Boys on Instagram.
Los Brazos Boys. Follow us on Instagram, Los Brazos Boys. And also, if you haven't joined us on Patreon yet, do so. It's super cool. A lot of you already are, and we love you so much. Our patrons, our bosses. But if you want more content, we're there on Patreon. We do a podcast called On the Porch or something like that. I don't know what we're going to call it yet. The Porch or On the Porch. There's a podcast for our patrons only. And then, of course, sneak previews. And right now on Patreon, you can watch, if you're a patron, you can watch the second episode of Offstage, which is with Ike and Dolo. And it's a whole big hour and
something.
15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 15 minutes of Ike and I talking on the porch at Del Rey.
I was there for a little
and you were
bit.
there, and so was Gazia, and so was Emily.
That was fun.
So
fun night.
Anyway, it was a great interview there. So if you become a patron now, you can see that. Anyway, we love you. Why don't we close in prayer?
Okay.
I guess if there's
any more questions?
Nope, that was it. Grateful. Right. Everybody's grateful. Mm-hmm. This is grateful. I'm grateful.
Gratitude. Matt Hamrick hits the nail on the head.
That's
every
right.
time.
That's right.
Good stuff.
Cool. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, we love you. We thank you so much for all the gifts that you've given us, for all the provision, for all the daily bread, for our neighbors, for our friends, for our family, and for you, for giving us your presence, especially in the Blessed Sacrament. Lord, we pray as we go forth from here, as we separate, as we log off, that you give us peaceful sleep tonight, that we can serve you tomorrow in love. And we can share you with all those that we meet. And we can love you above all else, and then we can love our neighbors as ourselves. Mary, we ask your intercession. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Amen. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Saint Peter Claver.
Saint Peter Claver, pray for us.
Pray for us.
Slave of slaves.
Good night, everybody.
Sweet dreams.
We love you.
Hey, we didn't even quite make it an hour. It's awesome.
Adios.